How do I start this thing?
Have you plugged the bloody USB in?
Yeah, it's in.
Nah, man, that's the wrong port. Oh, wait, it's flashing now.
It's recording.
Well, let's start this thing, fool!
Hello, everyone. I'm Amelia.
Hi, I'm Sam. Welcome to Ask the Duo podcast, a podcast where we get deep into those late-night, unfiltered conversations.
We'll be discussing all things lifestyle, relationship, mindset, and more.
All right, let's get to it.
And we're back.
Hello, everyone.
So today, a bit of business talk, but we're going to relate it to ourselves, our personality. And this actually started and popped up in our heads when one of the previous episodes we were talking about how you got made redundant, but you were focusing on how you feel out your strength, right? So this one, we're going to talk about our weaknesses. So we're going to do a SWOT analysis on ourselves. And we'll focus on talking about our weaknesses and how to turn that into an opportunity or your strength.
Hectic.
So, what is a SWOT analysis?
Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats.
Nice, that's an A+ right
Hell
there.
yeah, bitches.
Hands up for those who've done business before. So, in a business plan, you would always talk about a SWOT analysis. But what is a SWOT analysis? It's a strategic planning tool used to assess your strength, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and threats of a business. So, strength and weaknesses usually is an internal thing, so within the business. And opportunities and threats are something that's external, so external factors that might influence your business. So, say like your competitor has something that they're not doing, that's your opportunity to do something better. So you have a niche and you can do that, use it as your opportunity. Or say your competitor does something really well, they have like a top grade machine versus your medium grade machine. That's a threat because they can produce products faster than you or something like that. So that's an example of what a SWOT analysis is.
Wow. That sounds hectic.
But,
no, that's good though.
Yeah, so that's what it is, but we're going to focus on weaknesses, which is obvious us internal. And the purpose of a SWOT analysis is so that you can fine-tune your business strategy or fine-tune yourself, and then you can capitalize on that and turn your weaknesses into opportunities and grow yourself from there.
The human body is a business.
You could put it that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll list out our top 3 weaknesses and what would you like to work on. So I'll start with you, my friend.
I had forcing myself to put myself out there more in terms of like forcing myself to network more.
But why do you think that's a weakness for you at the current point in time?
I don't know if I'm introvert.
I think from the personality test, you are quite introverted, but you were in the middle, like an ambivert.
Okay, I'm in the middle, but I feel like with me, I'm very particular with who I network. And I feel that because I'm very particular with who I network, it kind of can put me in a disadvantage because it's like I find that a weakness because there could be opportunities out there that I could take advantage of by just putting myself out there more and not thinking too much about, oh, is this person someone that I want to fuck with, or is that someone who I want to network with or talk to?
I think you do it pretty well. Like you've grown quite a good network in just your career yourself. You've grown a lot of people that you can chat to, go to for advice.
Yeah, true, but I want to be better at that, and I find that is my weakness.
But better as in, like, do you think your weakness is just going up to someone and be like, hey, I'm blah, 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 nice to meet you, like that kind of thing?
Sometimes, yeah, I find that I don't do that enough. Like, I do that, but I don't do that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so I'm just trying to dig out, because you got to be more specific. So what about putting yourself out there do you want to work on? What's the weakness or something that you really want to work on within putting yourself out there? Is it the way that you approach someone, or to actually grow your network, or to, balance out a bit more of how particular you are?
I think it's more about the approaching. Yeah. I need to do more of the starting the conversation rather than sort of
Waiting for someone to come to you?
I wouldn't say waiting, but I like to watch how the environment is like.
Yeah, I'm like that too. I observe before I
like to
approach.
observe. Yeah, correct. I like to observe the situation and the environment before I sort of make any moves. And I find that as much as you observe, it's a good thing because you can see how people move, you can see how people react, you can see how people communicate with one another, and you could sort of get a good vibe as to who you can approach or who you want to approach.
Yeah.
But I also find that it is a limitation because it could be you're taking too much time to observe.
No, I agree on that because in just a work perspective, I'm exactly the same. I observe for a really long time. Like for the current example, I think even in my old job, I observed for at least a year. I've been at this new job for a year, but I didn't open up or truly be myself to show my weirdo side or the side where I joke a lot. I was very conscious on what I show and I just observe and I didn't talk much just to see who's out there, what their personality is like, and just getting to know the other person before I show myself. And I think the longer I prolong that, then I show my true self. Then they're like, whoa, where did this personality come from? When that's actually me, but I was just holding it back and just being very scaled back in terms of that.
Right. Yeah. I can see what you're saying. I think for me, it's similar in the fact that I'm reserved, but I probably don't reserve in the length that you do. I probably come out of my shell faster than you do.
I think now I do it a lot better. I would say my first creative job, my old job, when I first started, I was definitely very reserved. And any jobs before that, I was very reserved. No one saw my true side. That's how reserved I was. But then over time, as I grew, I realized that I can actually be myself, or I can show a bit more of myself, and that it's okay. And I think part of this is kind of more cultural talk, but in our culture, you know that work is work. Your boss is your boss, or your manager is your manager. You don't joke around with them. So it's like holding myself back from that.
Yeah, I can see what you're saying. For me, it's similar, but I've always been taught to not expose myself in, I guess, mixing your work life as opposed to your personal life.
Yeah.
And there's obviously more behind the scenes. I won't go into that, but yeah, it definitely has an effect, I feel, when it comes to networking, because I'm always so reserved and I'm always looking at how people move, how people talk, how they react before I sort of go in there and go, hey, my name's Sam, how are you?
Yeah, so what are you looking to get out of this new change or the weakness that you're trying to work from? Like, you actually trying to get out of that shell completely, or just
I definitely want to get out of the shell quicker, and more so just approaching, just saying g'day, hey, my name is, and then letting that go from that point, because that's all about building rapport, and networking is really just sticking your hand out and saying g'day.
Yep.
And building that relationship from that point. So,
did you have another one, or?
Well, what is that the same thing as you? What's your?
Well, yeah, I had a similar one, but I won't get to that. I think another one that's more about putting myself out there is a goal I've always had within the most recent years, but it's also something I definitely want to get good at, is public speaking. Especially back in my whole entire school years, every time we do any public speaking or speeches, I would avoid it like the plague. I hate it. I don't want to stand up in front of people. But I've done it once or twice in my previous job, and I actually really enjoyed it. And it's not because I stand up in front of everyone and talk, but when you're up there and you have a lot of skills that you can share, I really love that. And just knowing that I can share something that I love doing and something that I have a knowledge, and to be able to help someone gain more knowledge from what I know, I really love that. So I think ideally in a very long-term goal, I want to be able to do some talks on stage or do some panelists talking and be good at it. I think at the moment, even though we're doing this podcast, It's definitely helped me in terms of speaking more confidently and also articulate my questions. But I want to be even better at that and doing it in a public space in front of people and doing it really good and confidently. I think that's what I want to work on.
Yeah. I think it's just about putting yourself out there. That's how you're really going to expose yourself. Linking it back to a previous episode, the one that my sister was on, she attends women in finance. Not just in finance, but there's women in
business, I think, as well.
Businesses as well, right? Who are strong individuals. And I think that'll be a good thing for you to go to as well. It's females in every industry, and they just hang out and talk and network.
Yeah, I think it's really good. I think ideally the end goal is to, similar to you, networking, putting yourself out there, but mine's just in that space where it's in these massive networking events and be able to speak to people or like talk on stage and share my knowledge is what really drives me to learn more knowledge and to be able to share it with other people.
Knowledge is power, baby.
Yeah.
So.
I think it's just the satisfaction of being able to teach other people what you know is what I really, really like.
No, I can understand. My second weakness that I would say is kind of a little different to, I guess, putting myself out there, but it's more being empathetic to people. My character is I'm very like, I don't really care. I wouldn't say I wouldn't really care. It's more like, what's the right word of...
No, I think I know what you mean. I think I'm exactly the same. It's another cultural thing. As an Asian culture, say something misfortunate happens to you, we just continue and power on. We don't have the time to be I feel so sorry that this happened, or sorry to hear this and blah, blah, blah. Like, obviously, we do feel empathetic, but we don't show that. We just, our next target is to keep moving on. How do you make it to the next step?
Yeah,
is that what you mean? Like, you just don't show the empathetic side to it?
Yeah, I have no emotions. I don't really
express
I don't express the empathy when it comes to people, because I always, like you said, similar to the culture thing I've been taught to just keep moving, and it's not that I don't care. It's more like, well, we have more things that we need to focus on. Like, yes, it may be unfortunate. Yes, it might be a sticky situation, but life is all about pushing and moving forward.
Yeah.
Not looking back. Learn from your mistakes. Learn from the shit that's happened, but just keep punching forward.
Yeah.
And that's what I do. And I think I lack a lot of empathy when it comes to people.
But in what sense?
In a fact that I can empathize with people who are like going through a loss or going through something that's hard in their life. You know what I mean? Or they've done something that didn't go their way. Sometimes I just look at it and be like, I get kind of...
I think your response is always with a solution rather than, you know how, say for example, let's just put it back to like losing my job or something like that. So I lost my job. The first things that you say is like, okay, what about this? What about that? Let's try this and let's try that. But in a general conversation, like with other people that may not be as close, you would be like, I'm so sorry to hear, or something like that. But you don't say that kind of stuff. I don't straight to the solution.
I go straight to the point and be like, okay, this is what you probably need to go for now.
Yeah. And it's completely fine to have that. I think it's good to have that, but to adapt yourself to everyone's personality, everyone's different. Like for me, that works completely fine with me because I'm the same. I'm going straight to what's the next solution. But some people might be like, oh, this guy didn't even care about me. Yeah,
he's a cockhead because or like they write me off because it's like, oh, you're a prick, you know. Yeah.
So is that your weakness that you want to work on, is to kind of feel out for the people who might need a little bit of that empathy and be able to show that?
Yeah, empathize with people, because that's going to go hand in hand with the first point that I was saying, was being able to force myself to network, because there's different kinds of characters and everyone's different. So being able to show that emotion and be, empathetic shows the genuine side of me in some way or form.
Yeah, which kind of works in with my second one. Mine is speaking my mind confidently but still respectfully, and I think I have that empathy. So because I feel that before I even say anything that I feel myself, I hold back on a lot of my own thoughts. Like, say something didn't align with how I felt, or something happened where I felt a bit off. My first response to everything is I just stay quiet. I don't say anything, or like even just a simple response and be like, oh, that was a bit weird. You could just say that so that the other person will understand that that didn't feel right. But I would just stay quiet. Whereas I think being able to speak my mind confidently and not having to self-doubt myself or judge myself, and just being able to speak my mind, but obviously still staying respectful, is something that I want to work on, because there's just been so many times that I just haven't learned from my own mistakes, is that I stay quiet and I miss my opportunity to speak up.
Yeah, sometimes it's good to just speak your mind within a respectful way to get your point out, rather than sort of just holding yourself back.
Yeah.
Like they say, things aren't going to be heard until you say something or you speak up about it.
And some people may not even know what you're thinking until you say it.
Until you say it. So
that's definitely something I've always wanted to work on, and progressively work on as well. I'm definitely better than what I was previously in my earlier years, but still a long way to go, I feel.
No, it's a good thing to work on. My last one is being proactive rather than reactive. I am normally a person that, I wouldn't say I'm lazy, it's just more a person that would do something once shit hits the fan or once something happens, and I'd be like, okay, got to do something now.
I think that's normal. A lot of people like
I know,
that.
yeah, I know it is normal, but I think
But don't normalize this bad habit.
Exactly. So for me, it's being proactive is also good because it's keeping you moving rather than making you stale and waiting for something to happen for you to go, oh, okay, let's do something.
So do you have an example of where this has happened?
I'll just use this random example. It's like our yard thing, right? So we had a situation where we had lawn grubs, for an example. Mm-hmm. Like I could have been more proactive and bought the lawn grub spray thing that fucks them off. I could have been proactive and bought that, sprayed the grass, rather than let the infestation happen and then realized, okay, we're fucked.
So would you say this third weakness is more like being more organized and thinking ahead, like scheduling ahead of something?
Yeah, you could say it's being organized or just scheduling in advance so that you can avoid something from blowing up.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, that's a good one. Whereas I'm kind of opposite. I think ahead a lot, or I think the bigger picture a lot, which creates this space where I'm always multitasking. And I would say a strength of mine is I can multitask a lot. I can do so many jobs at once and remember every single job that I need to do without even a calendar or a to-do list or anything. But because of that, and me trying to do everything or a lot of things all at once, some tasks I get left behind because I don't get to complete it. I've started it but I'm finished, or like it's just a lot to do all the time.
Yeah.
So this kind of falls into two parts. Like one is to step back and just scale back on what I need to do and plan properly and finish my task. And two is because I'm so intrigued and I'm always keen to learn and very interested in new things or new skill sets that I can grow on and things like that. My note to myself is don't jump at everything that intrigues me. Like maybe I'm like, I want to learn how to do video editing, or I want to learn how to do hip-hop dancing and all that kind of stuff, and I'm trying to do everything. So don't jump at everything that shines in my face is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. So it's more about, yes, you can multitask, but making sure that the task that you've started to finish it, rather than taking on so many different things or getting intrigued by other things that you lose sight of the task that you've taken on board.
I think it's more of plan properly. Like, yeah, I plan, but I very loosely plan, but like I want to do this, this, and this, and this. but it's more like I'll do this and I'll do this every Monday, and then this task number 2, I'll do this every Tuesday, so that at least everything has a plan, rather than today I'm like, I have this and this I need to do, and I'll do it all at once, and then nothing gets finished, and then tomorrow I'm like, oh shit, I forgot about this, but I have all of this to do. So I'm still working everything, but there's no real plan to it. I'm just doing whatever that jumps up in my mind or comes into like in front of my face. But if I plan it properly, and like if I can multitask, I can still do it, but scale it back and plan around this multitasking.
Yeah, and that's a good point, because sometimes when you loosely just take on everything, you can overload yourself at times too.
Yeah.
And like I said, there's oversight on certain tasks where you half start something but you don't finish the whole thing.
Yeah, or even sit there and think about, like another example, bring it back to video editing and then hip-hop dancing, and think about it like, yes, hip-hop dancing is something that's really cool and I really would love to be able to dance, but is it something that serves me, or is it something that I see myself doing for long term, or can I just appreciate it but not really work on it, and then work on video editing because that's something that I actually need for my career.
Yeah.
So thinking and analysing and breaking down all the things that I need to do and categorising it.
Yeah, 100%. And it's about prioritizing what is applicable to maybe your career or something that's like a hobby that you can plan and schedule that in for that day.
Or other way around, hip-hop dancing makes me really, really happy, and it's something that helps me wind down from a very busy day, but I don't really need to do video editing because it's nothing I really need to use. I just really want to be able to grow my skill. Then maybe I'll focus on hip-hop dancing because I don't have my own downtime.
Yeah, 100%.
So it's just figuring out what you really want.
Yeah, of course. I understand where you're coming from in terms of your multitasking, because I do see the fact that you are very, very good at multitasking, but sometimes you task yourself too much where you don't get to finish everything.
Yeah, so these are some weaknesses that we've found in ourselves, and I look forward to actually checking back in the next 3 to 6 months and see if we've actually worked on it, or even tried to, or see how much we've changed from these, and even a progressive, even if we've progressively done better or tried to do some of these, like you don't have to achieve all of it to the T, but I think in 3 months' time, if we've seen or look back to see that we've actually tried to go out and do some public speaking, or you going out networking at some social events, I think that'd be cool to see and check in.
Yeah, I think it's good to put a time frame in noting what obviously is our weakness, because that holds yourself accountable and that's how you improve. So I think it's a good form to really just sit down and jot down what is your weaknesses. And for the guys who are listening, I think it's a good thing to give it a go too, because that's a way to self-improve, right? And if there are alternatives, slide us a DM, let us know what is your method that you take to sort of self-improve when it comes to
yourself.
When it comes to, your strengths, your weaknesses and stuff like that. So
also let us know in the comments what weakness in yourself that you'd like to work on.
Yeah, 100%.
That's it. We'll sign out from here.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Talk to you later. Thank you so much if you have reached to the end. We really appreciate you for tuning in. And if you'd like what you hear, please share it with your friends or family and subscribe to our podcast on whatever platform you are listening to.
Make sure you share any topics you'd like us to cover or questions you might have to our Instagram.
Slide it into our DMs.
Bigger. You can also stay in the loop of all the behind the scenes and the release of our new episodes there too. Our Instagram is Ask the Duo Podcast. That's AskTheDuoPodcast. Man, feels like I'm in a spelling bee competition right now. Alright, that's it for now, and we'll see you back here for our next episode. Bye!
See ya!